The instant I'm swallowed by the darkness, hell is printed into my brain. The starting penalty is 5. Life penalty, body penalty, freedom penalty, fame penalty, fortune penalty. Give the penalty that extends so much punishment, mud, darkness, and malice. Elimination of human rights by castration, exile, execution. Torture and sadism upon the body through digestion. Denial by consensus of the colony that eliminates all honor. What? Die? Scorn from judgment and selfishness that takes away men's fortunes, death penalty, penal, servitude, imprisonment, custody, fine penalty, crime from a grudge, crime from self-interest, unconscious crime, self-conscious crime, civil war, inducement, false statement, theft, robbery, kidnap, suicide, rape, arson, bombing, violation, negligent homicide, mass violence, death at work, overconfident accident. What's going on here? Misdiagnosis, concealment, violation for benefit, violation for self-protection, violation for love, violation for respect, selfish, stealing, fraudulent, fraud, concealment, murder, theft, crime, personal grudge, attack, dirty, you are dirty, atone, every violence, every crime, every victim, atone for everything. This world is ruled by something not human. Know the conscience to reform crimes. Is this supposed to be hell? Know the penalty to reform crimes. People's kindness is here. There is so much it cannot be noticed. Know the violence to hide crimes. Know the power to hide crimes. People's malignance is here. It is so rare that it is noticed. 100 kindness and 1 malignance. Malignance shines bright to keep the balance and exists as a great evil to compete with the masses of kindness. The starting penalty is 5. For self. The inducement, fraud, statement, theft, robbery, kidnap, suicide, rape, arson, infringement. What? Huh? My brain explodes. The mud eating away at my body remains and steals my warmth mercilessly. I'm crushed by the things seeping in through all 5 senses. Darkness I cannot look at directly. Ugliness I cannot acknowledge. Crimes I want to run away from. Every crime of the people in this world. That is why I am going to die. One trapped in this darkness will eat themselves to death from pain and hatred. But Kotomine said that this curse killed Kiritsugu. That fact knocks away every darkness. Warmth returns to my body. Blood flows through my beaten-up body and makes it stand. It's only natural. Such a thing. Emiya Kiritsugu had been burned with this for many years. He was pressed by the voices for atonement and died unable to fulfill his wish. He said he wanted to become a superhero. He ran around trying to help someone but could not get anyone's permission for that. Yet, he still did what he could to pursue the ideals he had abandoned. In the end, he was relieved by something a kid said and nodded to himself that everything was okay. So I have to stand up. I relieved Kiritsugu and promised that I'd become one. If Emiyashiro is really that superhero's son, then I can't let the bad guy beat me. Tosaka said, I should win no matter what. Saber said, he is an enemy that I must defeat. Even Kotomine said, if I'm going to fight, I should put my life on the line. That's right. What else can I bet if I won't bet my life? From the beginning, I have nothing else to give. I leap desperately out of the dense black mud. I can hear his bewilderment. My throat is burning. My windpipe tears every time I breathe, and it feels like I'm swallowing pieces of glass. I don't care. Tears are welling up from anger. I'm going to go crazy from anger before I go crazy from the curse. I push my body and run. I put one hand behind my back. I grab the dagger I've hidden until now.
呆れたな。あれから逃れたかと思えばその短絡思考。もはや万策尽きたというところか。
うるさい。初めから万策なんて持ってねえ。
I run. Kotomine sticks his hand into the waterfall behind him and extracts another clump of darkness.
ではサーバントの後を追うがいい。先の光はセーバーが破れたものだ。お前にはもはや誰の助けもない。
All my hesitation disappear. If I do reach Kotomine, I think his biggest mistake was that line. Because the command spell is on my left hand. It's the only proof I have. As long as my command spell exists, Saber exists. If she exists, she must have defeated Gilgamesh by now, and she'll be heading over here. I think Saber will be angry if I don't greet her with open arms. So I will defeat you now, to fulfill the last promise I made with her. Darkness approaches. A great curse is released from Kotomine's hand. My body melts from my fingertips. I want to look away. If this is my role, there is still something I can do.
Enuma Elish!
A dislocation runs through space. With a flash of light and a roar of wind, the swirl of destruction is set loose from air. With that in front of her, Saber could not even use her noble phantasm. She lowers her sword and moves her body forward as if she is falling. The light approaches. She cannot avoid it with her injured legs, and there is no shield in this world that could block air. A storm of light and wind that will destroy everything in its path. Nothing can stand against the true name of air. That is a fact that cannot be changed. Yes, until a few hours ago. The one surprised is not Saber, but the Golden Knight bearing air. Air is still emitting magical energy and bringing forth destruction. But Saber steps forward into that tumbling storm of light. Her armor screams out. Cracks run through every wall of magical energy protecting her. In the period shorter than a second that they endured the attack, Saber steps up to Gilgamesh and... She opposes Air's destruction with the greatest power she is permitted. Heat and light rumble wildly. The crash of the greatest swords push against each other with pure power, creating a boundary in space. But is it not useless? Excalibur cannot beat Air. Even if she approaches at the risk of her life, she can only push back just a little. The balance easily favors Air, and Excalibur's light is repelled back along with Saber. Readying Air, the Gold Knight looks at the enemy approaching him again and puts magical energy into Air. This will be it. He will totally annihilate Saber with all his power. Air's turns reach their maximum speed and the light surrounding Saber mows down Excalibur. But just before that, Saber's body jumps forward. A small space created by Excalibur, a place where she can take one more step. The instant she reaches it, her noble phantasm appears. The darkness becomes a raging wind to cover Imyashiro. There is no way to avoid it, and the concept of blocking is useless against a curse that paints space itself. Those swallowed by this darkness will be absorbed by it like the painted space. A body melting from the fingertips. Legs moving forward step onto empty space, and the arms reaching out are already invisible in the black mud. Imyashiro will be eliminated from the outside. Attacked by a feeling that his body is shrinking, Imyashiro still does not accept death. Without looking away, he rejects it with all his might. The darkness surrounding the body, the pain trying to melt the body, and the curse trying to melt the mind. But they are futile attempts. There is no way for mere human to resist the pollution. The body is still moving. The arm raised to grab something is still raised. But the mind is already destroyed. The mind is already painted in black, and the body should disappear into darkness as well. In that moment,
あなたが私の
why is that voice remembered? A light turns on in the darkness. The instant the eyes realize the light is that light, everything reverses. The hammer comes knocking down. The mind accelerates, crackles with sparks, and creates the shape with unbelievable speed.
ドレス本
The spell to begin the projection is murmured. In an instant, it is completed, omitting every step of manufacture. That is right, there was no need to reproduce it from scratch, because this shape was engraved in the body. It is perfect in memory as it was part of Imiyashiro's body.
あなたが私の鞘だったのですね
The arm reaching out still moves. The weapon created without concentration or spell casting is grabbed. The world changes completely as the darkness is destroyed by a golden light, and in Imiyashiro's hand is the perfectly reproduced sheath of saber. And like that, with air straight ahead of her, her noble phantasm is activated. That which is released and scattered before her is the holy sword's sheath. No one knows what kind of a divine mystery it is made from, but the sheath repels all light emitted by air. No, it goes beyond the level of defending. It is complete isolation. The barrier of fairy land that keeps out all filth from the outside lands. A complete world separate from this one that can never be reached. As Saber is protected by the sheath of the holy sword, she is blocked off from all matter in this world. The greatest protection in this world. The greatest that cannot be infringed by anything, not even by the 5 sorceries. The 5 sorceries? For that reason, the sheath is named Avalon. All is a distant utopia. The place where King Arthur is said to have gone after his death. The utopia the king dreamed of that will never be reached. Gilgamesh sees the death running up his spine. But he won't make it. The raised air will not stop turning, and Gilgamesh cannot manage to jump back. It is only natural. Who would even think that an attack with this much magical energy and this much power could be blocked?
おのれそのような小細工で
Blue Clothes run in. There is no armor on Saber. She has released the armor protecting her, put the magical energy gained into her sword, and...
X
セイバー
All darkness is blown away the instant the sheath is grabbed. The darkness surrounding Imiyashiro, the darkness contaminating his body, everything is dispersed. This is no reason to be surprised. The sheath of the holy sword protects its possessor. The embodiment of the utopia she sought cannot lose to this dirty mud. He runs. At the moment he is released from the darkness, his speed is like that of a shooting star.
東映魔術貴様何者
The one overestimating their ability, and the one who cannot even spare to think about such things. The difference is only an instant, but an instant that decides the outcome.
ことみねきれ
Still falling, Imiyashiro runs on his hands as well. In one hand is the dagger, in a crouching position, running to the Black Priest. The sword of retribution is stabbed into the priest's chest. The priest turns slowly. Before that, stopping himself with his feet, Imyashiro jumps back. The spinning body and all the magical energy in his left hand. He takes it and, like a whirlwind, he...
Let's go!
The magical energy is poured into the Azoth sword along with the word of release. The golden sword was swung. She must not even have the energy to raise it back up. Saber keeps her sword and her face down. Slashed up, the man beholds the knight that has defeated him. The sound of wind echoes through the compound. The waves of light like a flood are no more. The two knights share no words as they place themselves in a parting called to the battle's end. And the man sighs. He raises his weak hand and touches the cheek of the knight in front of him, as if making sure she exists.
憎らしい女だ。最後までこの俺に歯向かうか。
The golden armor starts to fade away. The existence of the King of Heroes is disappearing.
だが許そう。手に入らぬからこそ美しいものもある。
His fingers slip. His raised arm falls powerlessly to the ground.
ならばこそ俺がお前に敗れるは必定だったか。
He says it sullenly, and in his final moments,
ではな、騎士王。いや、なかなかに楽しかったぞ。
he smiles ironically and disappears. Sparks fly onto the priest's uniform. The sparks are coming from the dagger in his chest. No chunks of flesh or blood are flying out, but still, the battle here is over as well. He doesn't even look at me. He is just looking down at the dagger in his chest in disbelief. The wind is blowing. The wind coming from the void above eliminates the sounds around it. In the rumbling silence,
なぜお前がこの剣を持っている。
Kotomine Kirei murmurs in a clear voice.
それは俺のじゃない。遠坂から預かったものだ。
How long was he thinking? He sighs, and the body that he hasn't moved since the beginning of our confrontation finally moves.
そうか。以前気まぐれでどこぞの娘にくれてやったことがあった。あれは確か10年前か。なるほど。私も衰えるはずだ。
The body of the priest falls to the ground. I watch it all. He has talked about himself like he was someone else until the very end. And the priest sinks into that which he summoned, that which he wished for. That is the end of the man called Kotomine Kirei. And the true end of the long battle. The enemy is gone, and I face the final large task. The black void in the sky. That mud has stopped, but the strange void is still beating. That is the Holy Grail. The omnipotent Grail that would have been given to the winner of this war. There's wind blowing. Kotomine is gone, and the power binding Ilya must have vanished. Ilya is now free of that void, and she's sleeping by my side. I don't know what condition she's in, but it doesn't seem like her life is in danger. She should wake up fine if I go home and have Tosaka look at her. The war has ended. Nobody else is going to get hurt, and I won't lose anyone else. The masters are gone, and the servants will disappear as their tasks are over. I already knew this was going to happen. We climbed those long stairs together. Our parting is already done. All that's left is to close the curtains. I wait with an empty mind, looking up at the void. And she appears. She walks straight towards me, her figure unchanged since the first time I saw her. She stops close enough that I could reach out to her. There are no words to confirm her safety or to congratulate her of the victory. This was something that was already decided. So there is only one thing left to do.
聖杯を破壊します。それが私の役割です。
So saying, she starts to walk. The strong winds do not affect her as she approaches it step by step. She must be in range. She quietly readies her sword and looks at the black void. I stare at her back. I clench my fists hard, bite my lip, still the words about to come out of my mouth, and engrave her figure into my memory. And then...
マスター、命令を。あなたの命がなければ、あれは破壊できない。
With her back to me, she tells me to use my last command spell. Saber will disappear once the Holy Grail is destroyed. No, as she will destroy the Holy Grail, she will never again become a servant. Saber became a servant because she saw the Holy Grail. Destroying the Holy Grail out of her own will means destroying her contract as well. If she destroys the Holy Grail, she will end her life as the king.
シロ、あなたの声で聞かせてほしい。
Saber's voice. Every time I hear it, I want to scream. To tell her not to go. I want to scream for her to stay here. But that's something I should not do even for the sake of my life. I love Saber. I want her to be happier than anyone else, and I want to be with her forever. But if I truly love her, that's wrong. I loved Saber as she continued to fight even after getting hurt. She was a girl who discarded everything, was filled with injuries, yet still protected all the way through. If I consider that beautiful and want to protect it, I cannot destroy her life just for my own selfishness. She was born as a king and lived as a king. That will not change no matter what. From the time she soared to carry the sword, the girl became a king and nothing else. That is her pride. She ran through the battle so that in her final moments she would be able to believe her path was the right one. The dreams of the girl Arturia. The mind that chose to be the king over her own life. To fight. Even after she learned it would be unrewarded, she still clasped the sword and defended the oath of the king. For many years. I cannot do anything to dishonor the pride that she has held until the time of her death.
セイバー、その責務を果たしてくれ。
I say so with a flood of emotions. An overflowing light. The void in the sky is cut in half by the light and disappears without a trace. There is nothing left. The destroyed mountain is now a flat field. Dawn is in the distance. The horizon is shining and gleaming gold. My left hand hurts. My last command spell disappears. That makes me accept that the curtains have been drawn.
これで終わったのですね。
あ、これで終わりだ。もう何も残ってない。
そうですか。では私たちの契約もここまでですね。あなたの剣となり、敵を撃ち、近江を守った。この約束を果たせてよかった。
そうだな。セイバーはよくやってくれた。
Nothing more needs to be said. Saber is far away, and I do not run to her. The morning sun rises. The halted wind begins again. A goal that seems to last forever. In it,
最後に一つだけ伝えないと。
she says in a voice filled with determination.
ああ、
I reply like always with my best bluff. Seba's body wavers. She is facing me. She looks straight at me and in a voice without regret.
シロ、あなたを愛している。
Says those words. Wind blows. I close my blinded eyes and open them again. I don't think there's any surprise. I kind of saw this coming. That our parting would be like this. An open field fills my eyes. As the wind blew, the night disappeared. Just as she appeared. Leaving no trace.
本当にお前らしい。
There are no regrets in my voice. I squint at the rising sun, keeping everything I lost close to my heart. I stare at the horizon, wishing never to forget, and for it to never fade away. A distant land glowing in sunlight, resembling... Don't just disappear on me. Epilogue. I hear a sound. I hear the sound of the old, heavy, rusted door of the shed open. Light comes into the dark shed. I start to wake up.
先輩、起きてますか？
I don't even need to check who's here. Oh, so it's time already. Taking a breath, I open my eyes.
おはようございます先輩。そろそろ時間ですよ。
そうみたいだ。おはよう、さくら。起こしに来てくれてサンキューな。
いえ、お礼を言われることじゃありません。先輩ならきちんと起きてくれるって分かってましたから、私は余計なことをしただけなんです。
そっか。けど、ならなんでわざわざ起こしに来てくれたんだ？
わざわざじゃありません。今朝は先輩を起こしたくなって、いつもより30分も早起きしたんです。今日は特別な日ですから。
A special day? That reminds me. That's right. Today is a special day.
さくら、聞くまでもないと思うんだが、藤音はまだ来てないよな。
はい、内村先生はまだ。あ、でもイリアちゃんは先に来てます。
As I thought, Ilya being the only one here means one thing.
まずい。さくら、すまないんだけど、朝食の支度を頼む。俺、ひとっ走りして藤音を叩き起こしてくる。
はい、ご苦労様です先輩。
Fortunately, I worked late last night as well, so I'm still in my work clothes. It's good I can go outside without having to change.
10分で戻るから、あとはよろしく頼む。
はい、任せちゃってください。あれ、シロ起きてる。
なあ、今起きた。ちょっと藤音を起こしてくるから、さくらの手伝いをしてやってくれ。
Patting Ilya on her shoulder, I head to the front entrance.
やられた。もう、シロは私が起こしに行くって言ったでしょ。さくら
Man, her arms are really long. Ilya runs to the shed screaming. Such a scene isn't that unusual now. Ilya said she wouldn't go back to her country, so I consulted Fujine to see if I could keep her at my place. Fujine really objected, said her house was better, and ended up taking Ilya in. Since then, still staying at the Fujimura house, Ilya comes attacking with Fujine at morning and at night. Attacking at night, huh? That naughty little girl. Needless to say, their target is breakfast and dinner. It's been 2 months since they started living together, and they seem to be in union now. When I walk past the shed area, I hear voices over the wall. It's Sakura and Ilya talking. I thought Ilya would not get along with Sakura since Ilya has that really unreserved personality, but I was wrong. The two consisting of the energetic Ilya and the quiet Sakura are getting along well, even though they're rather noisy. In fact, Sakura is regaining her spirit because of Ilya. Sakura stopped smiling when her brother, Matou Shinji, disappeared and was considered missing. She must have vaguely understood the connection with the mass coma incident at the school. She was worried about the missing Shinji and moped for a long time. It was Ilya who forcibly made Sakura get over it, and Sakura regains her cheerfulness when Ilya is around.
さくら、笑えるようになったよな。
I'm purely happy for that, because that soft smile certainly suits her.
ひどいよイリアちゃん。何があっても起こしてって臨時ボーナスまであげたのに。
Fujine scoffs down breakfast while crying.
当然よ。タイガーを待ってたら私まで遅れるし、給金分は義理を果たしたわ。あれ以上の働きを要求するなら臨時じゃなくて基本給をアップさせることね。
私だけじゃなくおじいさまからももらってるくせに、どうしてこの子は主戦度なのかしら。若い頃からお金にうるさいと周りの子に嫌われちゃうぞ。
嫌われて結構よ。好きな人以外なら何を思われても関係ないもの。それよりタイガー、貸したお金ちゃんと返してよね。給料日5日前だったんでしょ。
なんでそんなこと知ってるのよあなた。
タイガに聞いたわ。お望みなら明細まで話してあげてよ。
Who's Raiga? Ilya smiles daringly. In contrast to Sakura, Ilya and Fujine do not get along well. And to add, Ilya gets really mean when she faces Fujine. That smile right now is like that certain someone.
返済は明日までね。できなかったらタイガのお小遣いから引いていくから。
Certain someone? Was he talking about Tosaka?
おじいさま、そんなことまであなたに話したの？
Or is Raiga Fujine's grandfather?
お昼はずっと一緒だもん。ライがね、タイガより可愛いって褒めてくれたわ。
Well, that's really obvious.
どうしてくれるのよシロ。この子とんだ悪魔っ子じゃない。このままじゃ藤村組が乗っ取られるわ。
Actually, more than that, you were still getting allowance at that age?
いってらっしゃいシロ。今日は早いんでしょ。ならここで待ってるからすぐに帰ってきてね。
努力する。留守番よろしくな、イリア。
いっそのことここの子になっちゃえバカ。
Fujine sulks while hiding behind my back.
はいはい、タイガも気を引き締めなさいよね。外でシロに迷惑かけちゃダメなんだから。
Ilya easily turns aside her remark. The power relationship must already be at a position where Fujine can't push back by force.
じゃあ先に行ってるけど、のんびり歩いて遅刻しちゃダメよシロ。
Brrr! Leaving the sound of exhaust, Fujine disappears like a bullet. Fujine got her license a month ago. Since then, her tardiness decreased considerably, but she has received another nickname of Rocket Tiger. Rocket Diver that only she doesn't know about. I stretch out and take a deep breath. Sakura has gone to school already. Seeing how she was eating a large bowl of rice today, it seems she is in real high spirits. Today is the big day for the archery club. Sakura must be enthusiastic to work hard as the co-captain of the archery club.
さて、
Let's go to school. Today is April 7th. There is the school entrance ceremony, and the season is past the cold winter and already into spring. It's been 2 months since then. It feels like a lot has changed since she has gone away, but I think the changes are trivial. Winter ended and spring came. That's all that's changed. I feel like I've grown up a bit, but it's not like that caused me to be any different. So not much has changed. Emiyashiro is clumsily running after Kiritsugu as usual.
おはようエミヤくん。朝から顔を合わせるなんて奇遇ね。
おっす。今日もいい天気だな、登坂。
I raise my hand and greet her.
けど奇遇か？ ここ最近よくニアミスするだろう。まあいや、そりゃ今までこう頻繁に出くわすことはなかったけど。
出くわすって。
Tosaka glares at me as if unhappy about something. I don't think it's good to send an aura of enmity first thing in the morning.
遠坂、もしかして登校時間変えたのか？前はもうちょっと遅かっただろう。早すぎず遅すぎずって時間だった。
そんなことないわよ。今まで顔を合わせなかったのは空前でしょ。知ってる？エミヤ君と私の家、きっかり正反対の位置にあるの。だから普通に起きて普通に坂を降りれば、ここで顔を合わせるのは当然ってわけ。
へえ、それは初耳だ。そっか、それなら確かに。
Wait, hold on. That's only if we do the same things around the same time. For Tosaka to come to this intersection at this time, she would have to get up at 6. But that's...
遠坂、お前眠くない？
I asked her directly.
何よその言い分。私は眠くもないし無理もしてないわ。なんだってそんなこと聞くわけ？
いや、お前朝弱かったから。寝不足で学校に行くと化けの皮が剥がれるぞ。授業中に居眠りなんかしたら大変だ。下手に起こそうものなら寝起きの悪魔みたいな顔した遠坂が暴れるんだからな。
Like, I will kill all that disturbs my sleep, kind of thing.
そんなことしないわよ。たかだか30分の早起きで不覚なんて取るものですか？
ほら、早起きしてるじゃないか。いや。
もう、人の起床時間なんてどうでもいいでしょ。つまんない詮索をしてる暇があるならさっさと学校に行きなさい。
Tosaka gets angry while looking away. Her excuse is plausible, so I stop my greeting here and we resume our way to school. We go up the hill. The streets and houses below me have all changed to show the coming of spring. The wind is comfortable and the cherry blossom flowers flutter down occasionally from the school on top of the hill. Everything that can be seen and felt is pleasant.
何？今週はほとんどバイトなの？まあ、エミヤ君の時間だから文句はないけど、そんなんで体壊さない？
ね？いや、今日ぐらいは休みをもらったよ。弓道部で新入部員の歓迎会をやるっていうからイリアを連れて遊びに行こうかなと。
なんかさりげにすごい度胸してるわよね、あなたって。平気な顔してイリアを学校に連れて行くあたり大物だわ。
なんかまずいか？イリアだって暇つぶしになるって喜ぶと思うんだが。
まずいわよ。まずいけど、そういうことなら私もお邪魔しようかな。イリアがいるなら退屈しないし、何より危なっかしくって放っておけない。
What, are there a lot of dangerous people at your school or what? I'm thankful that she says that. It's Tosaka, not Sakura or me, that understands Ilya the most. There's the fact that she periodically takes care of Ilya, but more importantly, Ilya and Tosaka are natural-born magi. I think Tosaka would be a good teacher for Ilya, as she doesn't quite realize what it's like to live as a magus while hiding that fact. Thus, things are settling into the way they should be. The damage from the Holy Grail War is almost completely restored by the new priest dispatched by the church, and our everyday life has returned without problems. There are certainly things that were lost and will not return. But the wounds have slowly healed, and I should be happy about the regrets fading away.
けど、意外だったな。
And then, Tosaka murmurs in a serious tone while looking down at the town below her.
意外だったって何が？
私、シロはもっと落ち込むと思ってた。しばらくは立ち直れないだろうなって思ってたのよ。
That is about the girl that isn't here anymore. It's been 2 months since then. It's about the golden-haired girl that we talk about for the first time since then.
そうだな。俺もそうなるだろうって思ってた。その後のことなんて考えるだけでどうかしそうだった。
けど、蓋を開けてみれば、シロったら今まで通りだったでしょ。 落ち込むどころの話じゃなくて、次の日にはもうケロリとしてた。その時にね、こいつ大丈夫かなとも思ったのよ。うまく言えないんだけど、次の日にはあっさり事故で死んじゃうような雰囲気だった。
なんだそりゃ。なんで平気なのにあっさり死ぬんだよ。
そういうこともあるの。人間ってのはね、何かの手違いで一生涯の目標を叶えちゃうと、それでぽっくりいくものなのよ。もう生きるのはいいやと思った途端、赤信号なのに車が突っ込んできたり、あっさりと階段から落ちたりするんだから。
Okay. Tosaka's metaphor is difficult to understand. She might want to say something about peaceful death and going to heaven or something.
だから私はそれが心配だった。ああいう時はね、いっそ派手に落ち込んでくれた方が周りは安心するものなの。
That's kind of sad.
なんだ。じゃあ落ち込んでたら慰めてくれたのか、トサカ。
まさか。背中に蹴り入れて一日で立ち直らせてやったわよ。それができなくて残念だって話。
She looks away in displeasure. Her gesture looks so funny that I laugh.
何よ、おかしい？
いや、とにかくトサカらしい厳しいセリフだったんで安心した。
We both walk on looking up at the spring sunlight. The hill is long and it looks as if it will continue on into the endless blue sky. And as if saying something trifling.
じゃあもう未練はないんだ。セイバーがいなくなってもさ。
Tosaka murmurs while looking up at the sky.
ああ、未練なんてきっとない。
It's not a bluff, and I say so with a calm state that even surprises me. There is no regret, and I don't have anything I forgot to tell her. That parting contained everything. What I wanted to do. What she dreamed of. It was a competition of our determination, and maybe I should have taken her hand and granted her dream. But there was something we both felt was beautiful, and we desperately protected it until the very end. There is nothing to feel regret about, as she has properly ended her time. I cannot remain in this reminiscence forever.
ふーん。シローの中では決着をつけたってことね。だから落ち込むこともなく、思い出に浸ることもないってわけ。
ああ、けど今も夢に見る。これから先もずっとあいつのことを思い出すよ。いつか記憶が薄れて、あいつの声もあいつの仕草も忘れていく。それでもこんなことがあったと、セイバーっていうやつが好きだったってことだけはずっと覚えてる。
Tosaka doesn't say anything, but for some reason she looks happy and starts to walk as if she's skipping.
どうしたんだよトサカ、そんなに急いで。
別に、ただ早く学校に着きたいなって。さあ、そういうわけだからシローも急ぐ。のんびりしてると置いてくわよ。
Turning around, Tosaka starts running up the hill.
なんだあいつ、朝弱いくせに無理して。
Grumbling, I throw the bag over my shoulder and start to run. It's still 7:30. It's too early a time for a student not involved in any club activities, but I guess there's nothing wrong with being early. Running up the road that seems to go up into the sky, I reach the school earlier than usual. Today is the day the new year starts. If I am to celebrate it, I have to shake off my old memories and hurry up. Traces will never go away, even if I almost cry from the vacancy hitting my heart. Blue sky is in the distance. It feels so close, yet I cannot grab it even if I reach out with my hands. I looked up at the stars before, the stars that I cannot reach and the wishes that will not be granted. There is nothing we have been able to leave behind for each other. Therefore, traces and memories will disappear someday. But still, even if it will not reach her, there should be something that will remain in our hearts. There is nothing that remains in our hands, but we lived the same time and looked up at the same things. If I can remember that, I can believe that we can be together even if we are far apart. I can assent that as there are things that will go away, there are also things that will not go away. That is why I will keep running for now. If I aim for the distance, there should come a day when I will be able to reach out to what I have been aiming for. Winter has passed and it is spring, the season of new beginnings. Under the blue sky that she also has seen, I keep running up the hill. The battle has ended. Her last battleground, the battle that was fought between the split halves of her country, ended with the king's victory. The night is running. The battle has ended. The bloody red sun has already set, and the darkness of the night is already ruling over the battlefield. The hill, covered with corpses, is filled with curses, crying out to try to take the survivors with them. Through it all, the knight runs panting. A rein is in the knight's hand, and the wounded white horse earnestly follows him. The only survivors are this knight and this horse. And this one king that is lying on the white horse's back.
Oh, Asao! こちらに!
He must be wounded himself, but the knight runs through the battlefield with all his energy. The king he is serving is on the verge of death. The king has defeated the enemy's king in personal combat, but the king received a fatal wound as well. The wound is fatal even in the knight's eyes. The king that they have served will soon reach death.
お気を確かに。あの森までたどり着けば必ず。
He desperately calls out, or possibly the knight might have really believed it, that their king is immortal, that as long as the guidance of the holy sword is there, the king would never die. He breathes hard, passes over mountains of corpses, and heads for the forest that is not covered in blood. He knew of the king's immortality. Therefore, he believes that the king's wound will heal if he escapes this cursed battlefield and makes it to a pure place. No, he could only believe so. He believed his own king, unlike the other knights. The king was isolated in the court, alienated by the knights, and was feared by the people. But the king did not show emotion even in such a situation, and always stayed as an ideal, and the knight felt pride in his young king. He did not serve his country. He had entrusted his sword, struggled to be of power, and made his way to be a personal guard of the king as a young man because it was this king. The masked king. The boy who tried to allow no personal feelings and to be fair. He might have hoped to be able to see the king's true face if he went near the king. He just wanted to see the king's true expressions. Not the face he puts on during battle or in the castle, but a real smiling face of a human. It should appear in the court when he has been released from his duties. No matter how perfect a king is, he cannot strain his mind 24 hours a day. But that thinking proved wrong. The only thing he found out was the truth contrary to his expectation. He has made it to the rank of Imperial Guard and was able to guard beside the king. He has guarded the king closer than any other knights and kept watch on the king's behaviors. But still, it did not happen even once. His king never smiled. Since when did he feel anger toward it? The king has accomplished so many great deeds and has accrued much glory, but in fact the king never showed a peaceful face. He could not approve of that fact. He wanted to believe such a thing should not be allowed. That is why he wished for his king to be awarded the light. But he has yet to accomplish that. The king is still isolated. That is why the knight continuously did not approve of the king's death. He cannot end it here. He thinks that this great king is not rewarded enough for his actions.
お、今はこちらに。すぐに兵を呼んでまいります。
In the forest he reaches, the knight lays the king by a large tree. The situation is a race against time. It takes half a day, no matter how much he hurries, to go to the port where his own army is left. Anyone with eyes should be able to tell if the king's life will last till the morning or not.
どうかそれまで辛抱を。必ず兵を連れて戻ります。
He salutes the unconscious king and runs to his white horse.
ベリビエール。
Before that, the king that should have been unconscious calls out his name.
おお、意識が戻られましたか。
少し夢を見ていた。
A faint voice, but that voice seems warm to the night.
夢ですか。
He calls out as if to search. The king's consciousness is not certain. He shall go back into the darkness unless he replies so.
そうだ。あまり見たことがないのでな。貴重な体験をした。
それは。では、どうぞお気遣いなくお休みください。私はその間に兵を呼んでまいります。
A gasping sound. It sounds as if what the knight said was unexpected.
おう。何かご無礼な点でも。
いや、そなたの言い分に驚いた。夢とは目を覚ました後でも見れるものなのか。違う夢ではなく、目をつむればまた同じものが現れると。
Now it is the knight's turn to be surprised. He stutters, but replies even though he knows it is a lie.
はい。強く思えば、同じ夢を見続けることもできるでしょう。私にも経験があります。
Such a thing is not possible. What happens only once and not continuously is what people call a dream. But the knight lies in spite of that. He apologizes that this will be the first and the last dishonesty he will perform toward the king.
そうか。そなたは博識だな。ベリビエール。
The king murmurs as if impressed. His face is still looking down and he does not even look up at the knight. The king breathes so softly that it can be barely heard, and quietly.
ベリビエール。我が命権を持て。
The king gives his last order in a faint voice.
よいか。この森を抜け、あの血塗られた丘を越えるのだ。その先には深い湖がある。そこに我が剣を投げ入れよ。
おお、それは。
The knight knows what that means. The sword of the lake. To let go of the sword that was the proof of the king and what protected the king means the end of the king he has served.
行くのだ。ことを成し得たのならばここに戻り、そなたが見たことを伝えてほしい。
The king does not take back his order. The knight takes the holy sword and goes over the hill with his indecision still in mind. And the knight hesitates returning the sword for 3 times. The lake was certainly there, but he just could not throw the sword in it. If he throws the sword in, his king will disappear. The knight is unable to throw away the sword from his unwillingness to part with the king, and the knight turns around and returns to the king. The king repeats to the knight. As the knight lies to the king that he has thrown away the sword, the king only replies to follow his command. To disobey the king's command is a great sin for a knight, but still he disobeyed the king's order twice. He was reluctant for the king's life when he faced the lake. But that comes to an end. As the knight figures out he cannot change the king's decision, he throws the sword in the lake on his 3rd visit. The holy sword returns to the lake. A white hand appearing from the water receives the sword, and after going through the sky 3 times, the holy sword vanishes from this world. And the knight finally accepts it, the king's end. That the duty that was too long has finally ended. After crossing the hill 3 times, the forest is covered in morning sunlight. The battlefield is afar, in the pure light mist that does not show any trace of the bloody battle.
湖に剣を投げ入れてまいりました。剣は湖の夫人の手に。確かに。
The king opens his eyes at the knight's words.
そうか。ならば胸を張るがよい。そなたはそなたの王の命を守ったのだ。
The knight nods suddenly to the voice facing death. Everything has ended. Chaos in his country would still continue. The battle will not end, and the day of ruin will come around soon. But the battle of the king has ended. She has fulfilled her duty until the very last moment. The light disappears. Finishing her task as her last strength disappeared from her body.
すまないな、ベリビエール。今度の眠りは少し長く。
As if going to sleep slowly, she gradually closes her eyes. The morning sunlight fills the area. The forest stands there quietly, and his king goes into his long sleep. The knight keeps watching over her figure. The king that he wished for, a lonely king that was seen off by just one night. But her face is what he wished for, a peaceful sleep. In her last moments, the king has obtained peace that she has never been able to obtain. He was just happy about that fact. The knight thanks this someone who has given her peace and proudly watches over his king. The heaven is far and the clearing sky is blue. The battle has truly ended.
見ているのですか、アーサーを。
His murmur rides through the wind. As if sinking into the endless blue, the king that went into sleep
夢の続きを。
sees a distant, distant dream. The battle is over. Let us put our swords down and rest in the momentary peace. After dozing in a warm dream, a new day will dawn. The days continue on, and we are still following the same star we once saw. Oh my god, we are done. This was the Fate route of Fate Stay Night. And it took us how many parts? 62? 63? Holy jeez. And that was just 1/3 of the whole story. So what to do now? My original plan was to continue with the Unlimited Blade Works route, but you know, the anime adaptation of that route is airing at the moment, and everyone who is interested in Fate Stay Night is probably following it. I'm watching it too, and because it seems like they do a really good job at adapting that route, I don't really have much desire to do that route right now in the visual novel. So what I might do instead is, I might just jump straight to the Heaven's Feel route. I know you're supposed to do Unlimited Blade Works before Heaven's Feel, but I know about the major plot points of UBW already because I watched the movie that was adapting that route a few years ago, so it shouldn't be much of a problem for me to do Heaven's Feel first. Also, Heaven's Feel is the only route of Fate Stay Night I know nothing about. So my desire to do Heaven's Feel is much bigger than my desire to do Unlimited Blade Works right now. I will probably do Unlimited Blade Works anyway one day, but Heaven's Feel comes first. By the way, I faintly remember that the weapons screen was updated and I never had a look at it. So let's do that real quick. Weapon. Let's see. Yeah, the Zorth sword. Azorth sword, or Azorth, or however you pronounce it. An item of ceremonial magical equipment that Rin treasures. This object is not a weapon, as it amplifies the magical energy of the owner, and it is instead used as a staff to support and amplify magic usage. It is a popular item in the Magic Association, and a common commemorative gift given by masters and parents when entering adulthood. The original is said to be a dagger favored by the man who established the foundation of present-day alchemy. Okay. Okay then. Next time on Fate's Day Night, Heaven's Feel. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Bye bye.